Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is Francesco Rossi's Three Brothers from 1981. Yes, another Francesco Rossi film. This is on Arrow Academy Blu-ray and DVD, or Tre Fratelli in Italian. And again, 2 discs, booklet and alternate artwork. So this was 2 years after Christ Stopped at Eboli, and you could actually watch these back to back because they do actually make quite an interesting double bill. This stars Philipe Noiret, the French actor, and Vittorio Mezzogiorno and Michel Placido as 3 brothers who come to their family home in the countryside after the death of their mother. This is a film that we've kind of all seen before. It's a kind of familiar format that has been repeated over time. But this one's kind of special. Kind of like Christ Stopped at Eboli, I can't give you any real scientific reason why it works and why it's so good. There's no formula that you can figure out. It is just another beautiful film by Rossi. It's another just emotional film. Especially the final image of the film is actually quite emotionally powerful, which I wasn't expecting. So again, when you get 3 brothers, one's from Rome, one's from Naples, one's from Turin. So even though this is a family drama, again it's Rossi, so it's more political. 1981, 1980 when it was shot, we're still in the years of lead. So Noiret's character is a judge who has just taken on a case from a colleague who's given up the case because it's way too stressful because he fears for his life and the life of his family. So Noiret, whose own wife, says he kind of likes the danger and the excitement. And he says, well, maybe it's actually just a reaction to not being a strong person and just giving the impression that you're a strong person. So you have this character who's taken on this dangerous case. His life may be in danger. You have a brother who has pretty much sacrificed himself, his own, he's not married. He's sacrificed himself. He works in this school for bad boys, essentially. And then you have another character who is a factory worker. I think it's a textile factory, as we know from films like The Organizer. Textile factory in Italy have terrible working conditions. So he's kind of one of the leaders in the union and going on strike and taking action. He has a little girl from his estranged wife, and he brings her out to the country to spend some time as they prepare for the funeral of their mother. So even within this family drama, you still get discussions on politics and philosophy. John Sayles, I'm going to crowbar John Sayles into the conversation. John Sayles, when he made Men with Guns, which is a Spanish language film, and one of the reasons he did it in Spanish language because there's lots of philosophical and political discussions in the film. And he says, in non-English language films and art house films, people having philosophical or political discussions is the norm. It's perfectly, it's not strange. Whereas if you do an American Hollywood film and people stop and have like philosophical and political discussions, people kind of get confused about that and uncomfortable about that because it's not, driving the plot. And certainly American mainstream films, all dialogue has to be exposition and driving the plot. So having political and philosophical discussions in the middle of a film is odd to a kind of mainstream English language audience. Whereas in art house or non-English language films, it's perfectly normal. So Noiret's character, the judge, and the factory worker, they do kind of have wonderful conversations about, industrial action and terrorism and the state of the country, which again, this was made still in the years of lead in Italy, the years of violence and terrorism and bombings and assassinations and strikes and protests. But you have the juxtaposition of that with these amazingly beautiful shots of the countryside. Rossi, who's known for his realism and his grittiness and his films being very grounded. He uses dream sequences, he uses almost magic realism. There's certainly a magical realism scene at the end, which is kind of in the form of a dream or near the end, which one of the brothers have, that could be really hokey and artificial looking, but for some reason it kind of works. So when each of the characters has a dream, it's dreams of the past, dreams of the present, dreams of the future, dreams of how they're going to end up. And it's just beautifully done. Again, it opens up with the father walking around this beautiful countryside, and he has a vision of his wife who is now dead, which again is kind of odd and strange but wonderfully beautiful. One of the sons, like I said, he brings his daughter and she has conversations with the grandfather. She revels being around the countryside, on the farm, finding secret places to hide and play. It has a real feel of nostalgia. It has a real feel of, getting out of the city. The factory worker or the union guy, he says at one point that, he doesn't have that nostalgia for going back to the countryside. He kind of belongs in the city. The guy who works in the school for bad boys, he is more of a idealist. He's more of a why can't we all just get on kind of character. But they're all, so even though they have their own political views, their own personal issues, it's never, the dialogue is never kind of whiny. The dialogue is never, you never get the sense it's Rossi just putting forward his political views. As we all know, Rossi was to the left, but again, his films are never preaching, oh yeah, the left's the best. In Hands Over the City, for example, he pretty much criticises the left, right and centre. He just criticises the whole system. So again, the dialogue does seem natural. It's beautifully played by all the actors. There's another great dog performance, and a wonderful moving cameo by a rabbit. Again, very much like Christ Stopped at Eboli, quote unquote not much happens, but it is wonderfully engrossing. It's beautifully played. It's 107 minutes long. It absolutely flies by, even though, like I said, in conventional terms, not much happens. It doesn't reach the heights of Christ Stopped at Eboli, which is just a bafflingly amazing film. But Three Brothers is another wonderful Rossi film, and well worth your time. And again, on eBay you can pick this up really cheaply. Unlike a lot of Arrow Academy titles, it's not out of print or anything. I'm sure you can pick this up for under £10 sterling. It does. There's only one extra, which is a Guardian interview with Francesco Rosi in 1987, by Derek Malcolm, which is an audio with images, and an original trailer. But the booklet is full of supplemental material. Again, it's not a film that I can talk about plot points and talk about it for 20 minutes, because again, like Christ Stopped at Eboli, it's about feel, it's about atmosphere, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Again, Rossi's compositions, because he is grounded in realism, his compositions aren't Kubrick or Leone or Kurosawa, or Orson Welles compositions, but he just has an eye for beautiful natural compositions. The countryside is just absolutely gorgeous. The sun, it's just another wonderful Rossi film that I would recommend you check out. I would also recommend you check out Roger Kirby's channel. He's just put up a review of Rossi's Lucky Luciano, his look at the famous gangster, starring Gian Maria Volonte and Rod Steiger, which is well worth a look as well. That just was released on Kino Lorber Blu-ray along with Illustrious Corpses, which I think Roger's going to do quite soon. I've done a video on Illustrious Corpses if you want to check that one out as well. It only seems like I've done a review of every Rossi film, but it's not all of them. I'm not going to do a review on Lucky Luciano. It's an interesting film. I'm probably going to have to rewatch it, but I felt it was a little bit disjointed and doesn't really work as well as some of his other films. An interesting side note, one of the walls of the school that one of the brothers works at looks very familiar to one of the walls that one of the shots in Lucky Luciano was used. So maybe it was the same location. That's a fascinating tidbit for you. Not really. So thanks very much for watching this review of Three Brothers by Francesco Rosi from 1981. Please let me know in the comments below if you've seen Three Brothers and what you think of it. And hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. And I promise they won't all be Francesco Rosi. This is Saul Chironin from Saul Chironin Films, saying farewell.